action continues after protesters stormed the U.S. Capitol yesterday as lawmakers gathered to certify Electoral College votes.
So joining us to talk about the legal aspect of all of this is former U.S. Attorney Patrick Miles. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, Pat, let's talk about this. So many questions. We've obviously seen the rioters. They break into the Capitol. They cause damage. People get hurt. Where do we start? Are they going to try and go after these people?
Oh, I think they're certainly going after them. I've heard that they've arrested over 50 people already. It's going to be difficult for the investigation because I'm sure a lot of the people are not from D.C. They're going to go and disperse to other parts of the country, probably today and tomorrow, and so it'll be difficult to track down. Of course, we've got a lot of video, a lot of photos and faces that can be called in. Because it's the U.S. Capitol, the federal government, the FBI, will have primary investigation jurisdiction, and then they'll be prosecuted by the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., which is actually the largest U.S. Attorney's Office in the United States. It has 330 prosecutors, so it's a very large office because it also prosecutes crimes in the District of Columbia.
And what are some of the crimes that could be brought against those who stormed the U.S. Capitol building?
Well, certainly they could be charged with things like trespass, destruction of property, and so forth. The more serious charges would relate to like a conspiracy for sedition, a seditious conspiracy, where you're trying to delay or hinder the execution of laws, or you're destroying government property. And so that law seems applicable because it certainly seems the criminal intent of the folks that were invading the Capitol, they wanted to delay and obstruct and possibly overthrow the counting of the electoral ballots. So that was certainly the criminal intent that they had formed. And once they crossed that barrier, they crossed into that line of potentially seditious conspiracy, as well as destruction of property, trespassing, and so forth.
Pat, what is your thoughts on others who may be complicit? Is the president complicit? Is he going to be held liable? What about Rudy Giuliani?
Criminal liability is going to be very difficult against leaders like the president, Rudy Giuliani, and others who spoke out not only yesterday at that rally in D.C., but also cumulatively over this last several weeks about taking action against the Congress counting these ballots, standing up to them, because there wasn't really anything specific saying, go storm the Capitol and take away the ballots and destroy the ballots. There wasn't a specific call to action. It was very general, very vague. Walk over to the Capitol, march over to the Capitol, stand up, show strength. Vague statements can be very difficult. But there is, of course, the crime of inciting insurrection or rebellion. It just might be a very difficult case to prove. And the president, while he's president, doesn't have criminal liability. We've seen that the DOJ policy is not to prosecute criminally a president while they're sitting. Of course, Donald Trump's not going to be president in 13 days.
Let me ask you real quick, too, Pat. I know that there's been talk of this 25th Amendment. Any idea that they could actually pull this off in 2 weeks' time?
They certainly could pull it off in 2 weeks' time because the 25th Amendment is designed to be very instantaneous in effect. In other words, you just need the vice president and half of the cabinet. You submit that to the Congress. They have actually something like 21 days to act on it, to reverse it. And so you actually could have a situation, if it were to take into effect today or tomorrow or something like that, where the Congress could essentially sit on it until they took a vote. Now, because it takes a 2/3 vote in both houses of Congress to overturn the action of the cabinet. So really, there would be no time essentially for the president to have an appeal, but that 25th Amendment can go into effect instantaneously. It's designed to. So if there's a case of a kidnapping or other physical incapacitation of the president where he's incapable of carrying out the duties of the office, that's what the 25th Amendment is designed to do.